Hey folks, my name is Dave. This is Honcho right behind us. We're trying to get it ready for the next couple of races. If you like what you see in this video, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Maybe leaving us a comment. That is definitely the lifeblood for any YouTuber, and we surely appreciate it. So I'm trying to get Honcho ready for the next race after we wrecked it. I have a couple weeks to get it finished before we have a lot of stuff going on this summer. Then I'm going to park it as I go back to work at my airline job, learning how to fly an Airbus A320. And then jump back into this thing. We'll be heading off to Reno for the Vegas to Reno race, and then getting it ready for the Baja 1000 again. All right, so what this video is all about is getting the body parts for Honcho. After we rolled it, we had to get some new parts. So for all of those vehicle purists out there, you may want to stop watching right now. Viewer discretion definitely advised. Let's go ahead and check out how we got this truck and then how I took it apart. All right, well, if you're new to our story, here's what happened. We were out testing our race truck with our drivers, and one of us rolled the truck. So we had to go out and get some new sheet metal. And that's kind of where this story and this episode kind of starts, is I need to go get new panels to replace on our Honcho. So I load up the truck, and there is one for sale on Facebook Marketplace up in San Luis Obispo, and I go and meet this guy who owns this yard full of cars. His kids are there, and he's just really a cool guy. I think he had to move like 7 cars out of the way to get this thing out, and he's drinking about 1 beer for every car he moves out. Just a really cool dude. And he pulls this thing out, and his son, who was talking about maybe trying to work on it, you know, or something like that, but they just left it back there. He never got into it. But once you see the thing roll out, the Honcho, the truck with that razor grill, it just looks cool. I think they didn't want to get rid of it. But I ended up driving away with it, getting back to my place and getting right to work, taking it apart. And I really didn't want it. It smelled terrible. I think it had some rats living in it. So I wanted to do a lot of taking the stuff apart just on my trailer before I pushed it into my garage and lifted the body off. So I'm just getting most of the parts off I needed right there. One of the funny things, I try to get off the back of my truck. And if you're having problems with a vehicle that won't roll off your truck, don't forget to take it out of park. That ends up making it work out pretty good. So anyway, we get the body off, and here's what we got. All right, and here's a look at this Jeep J20. This is all that's left after I took the body and the front fenders off. But you know, not bad. This thing is a little rusty. I bet somebody's gonna take this and get it running. This guy actually coming by to pick it up right now. The bed, as far as beds go, is not bad, and I'd use it except for the fact that it's a long bed, and we use short bed parts for ours. But you know, most of these usually rust out right here, and this one actually survived pretty good. Doesn't look that bad. There's a whole bunch of parts thrown over here in the back, some from Chevy Silverados. Again, just trying to get rid of some stuff. I don't like to pile up old parts I'm not planning on using. The axles aren't going to be that bad, and I think the guy who's come by will be using the axles off this. I have another guy coming by for the bumper, so trying to preserve most of the parts and let them go to another home. I know some of the purists won't like the fact that I'm taking this old J20 apart, but the body was pretty bad. So I really think that trucks should just come with a journal, so you can just write down all the crazy things that happen to it. And here's another one. This guy shows up, and again, a really cool guy, and he wanted to use the axles off this, and he's going to try and load this thing onto his trailer, and he's pulling it on there with a winch that must have like a 1/8 inch cable. I didn't want to be anywhere near this thing, and it snapped one time while he's pulling it on there. But you know what? I really like this guy. We were talking, and I think he's an iron worker, super strong guy. Like, could manhandle the wheels and move it, even though the steering box wasn't working so good. But he said, "You know what, man?" He goes, "I don't always make the best decisions, but I get stuff done." I love that motto, man. The guy's just making it happen, and I think he made that trailer a couple days before, so good on him. But here we go. Here we get into the part where if you get a little queasy when you see cars getting chopped up, you might want to turn away for the next couple minutes. So my thing is, I'm working on Honcho in our race truck, is I find a lot of value in starting with a full vehicle and then taking off the parts that I need and either selling or giving away the rest, you know, just to kind of get rid of them. But since I've already done this, it took me a couple weeks to figure out on the first J10, the one on the left you see there, the blue one, how much stuff I had to cut out. This time I know what I got to cut out. I'm just looking at that one, cutting the same thing, so I get through it pretty quickly. And I basically, in this whole process, I will take what's probably a 4,000 to 5,000 pound vehicle, and I will end up with probably about 500 pounds of still lift, which I'll use on the truck. So I get this thing cut out fairly quickly, and I'll take this thing down. So just by watching, you get a pretty good idea of what I'm doing to cut the body apart before we put it on Honcho. But I told the guys over at 11 Brothers Motorsports, and if you want to do this also, here's 2 things that I learned. As I make this cut down the seam over the rocker, I'm trying to leave about 3/4 of an inch of the floor there if I can, to keep those spot welds. And that's the same thing I'm going to do around the rear window on the side. I'm going to try and leave those spot welds, and that helps keep those pieces of sheet metal held together, and it just makes it a lot easier to kind of move this thing around. I think also helps with the structure as you go and cut this thing up. All right, here's the rust on the fender, but it's all right because we're not keeping much. All right, here's the payout for all the work I was doing. I finally get to put the body on. And since I have the lift, I'm really able to one-man this job. That body, I'm thinking the metal I have there right now is probably about maybe 200 pounds of steel. So you could imagine trying to lift that even with 3 or 4 guys, it would be difficult. And the lift makes it possible to do that. And in the grand scheme of things, lifts really aren't that expensive, and they're pretty easy to put in your garage. I use a bend pack, and I'm not an affiliate with them or anything. I think it's just a great lift. Anyways, finally get that thing on there after working it a couple times, and I think it looks killer. Even with that old patina, I am going to paint it blue, but looking at it, I'd almost consider just leaving it the color it was. All right, there's a quick and dirty update of what's going on with Honcho as we're trying to get it ready for the next couple of races. If you like what you saw, again, please consider hitting the like and subscribe button, maybe leaving a comment. That definitely helps us out. If you like any of the tools you saw on the channel, then check out our webpage at www.ntdracing.com. That's where you'll find our store. We also have information on discount codes if you like the Langmuir Systems Crossfire Pro plasma cutting table or the New Air cooler. You can find the discount codes and all the information on the store page there. With that, we'll see you on the next episode. Take care of yourself.